We're just coming down 18th Street from Market Street. You're going to see that we are entering the Castro through the back door. Pardon the pun. I know. Anyway, the Castro used to be a it used to be a very predominantly Irish neighborhood, and that changed in the late 70s and 80s, I believe, and became much more the mecca for gay people, gay men especially. A lot of the lesbian population lives in Bernal Heights, as the stereotype goes, and of course these are just observations. Nothing unfair or no fair housing laws are going to be implicated. Just making that clear. Anyway, so we're driving through. It's New Year's Day right now, so it's pretty chilly. Temperature is right about 50 odd degrees for the daytime high, which doesn't seem so cold, but it actually kind of is. Anyway, 18th Street's pretty much the main drag that goes from here all the way until the intermission into Potrero, and it keeps going actually all the way out to the ballpark area on 3rd Street somehow in one shape, form, or other. But anyway, right here, this is Collingwood Street, and right here there's a bunch of bars and restaurants. Badlands is pretty infamous as well. Harvey's is the famous sort of neighborhood hamburger joint. You'll see down below there are, whoops, that was a yellow light. You'll see below the Rainbow Crosswalks, which just came in. You'll see lots of other things like the Midnight Sun, which has been around for a while. You see cigarette stores, the Moby Dick as well. We're on Hartford Street now as well. On 18th Street, you're going to have lots of cross traffic going from Market Street through the neighborhoods, down to Dolores Park and whatnot, and we're going to take a turn there too as well. There's a little 7-Eleven, and here's 18th and Noe Street, which is great. If you were to go left, you would have very nice houses. Going right, you're going towards Noe Valley. But you'll see the houses here, primarily on 18th Street, are the multi-unit, multi-level homes. You'll see 2 flats, typically condominiums, perhaps tenancy in common, perhaps just multiple income units. The average price for a single-family house, which would be off of Sanchez or Noe or even Hartford Streets, where we just passed, will probably be in the $2 to $2.4 million range. The flats here will average just about $1,000 a square foot. Chances are you may or may not get parking, so about 50-50. As you can see, there are just lots of cars parked on the side of the road here, and you'll see lots of Victorian architecture as well as some modern ones mixed in. The great thing about this neighborhood is that it is very central. Behind us is the in front of us is the J light rail Muni line, and this is the edge of Mission Dolores / Dolores Park. We're going to go up towards here. We have Hancock Street, which is great. So you have the name streets, and then you'll have 19th Street as well. Again, condominiums, mixture of Edwardian and more modern architecture, tenancy in commons, multi-unit buildings, lots of rental units too, don't forget. So it's a lot of the inventory is going to be rent control, because it's probably more likely than not that these houses were built before 1979. June 13th, 1979 is the magic date, because that's when rent control, the rent ordinance was passed, putting that all into effect. Afterwards, it is not under rent control, but there are some circumstances that go back and forth. Anyway, like we said, the J line runs through the eastern border of the Castro, and I would say 20th Street here is probably the southern border because it gets hillier from this point out. We're actually going to cross over into 20th Street to take a look. I don't know if you can see the view or not up to your right, or out to your left, but that is a really stunning view of San Francisco. Let's see if I can nudge you. I can't nudge you over, sorry about that. But this is typical of San Francisco. Slow moving traffic, there's construction going on, the city's going under renovations and whatnot. There's this big income building here on the right, probably 10 or 15 units, and most times they're not going to be bought or sold, and when they do, it's going to be a calculation based on the rental income coming in, and you're going to have to figure out whether or not the property needs seismic upgrades or whatnot too, which is part of the mix. Dolores Street is right here. It's famous for all the palm trees which were planted after the 1989 earthquake. As I was saying before, we have the J line, and then in the middle of the Castro, which is closer towards 18th and Castro Street, where we're by Harvey's, you're going to have the K, L, M lines as well. So you have 4 muni lines, actually arguably 5 muni lines, because you also have the N Judah line over on the other part of the northern edge, which is near Dolores Park. So this is kind of the Mission Dolores area right now. We're heading into Mission. Again, similar architecture. You're going to see lots of off-street parking, some garages. You'll see Victorian homes. This is Guerrero Street here, which is actually 4 lanes. It's one of the more interesting streets in that they have put in LED street lights. I make a big deal of this, I know, but the light cast off, these lights are very different from the yellow lights we're used to seeing, which are the sodium lights. Okay, how does that make a difference? Well, it's a little crisper and darker, but also the color temperature they picked is more on the cool sort of 5000 K side of things, which really changes the light. And I know light's pretty dramatic, and it's kind of what we look at photographs for, the contrast and the dynamics. It also is determinative of what type of home you're going to buy, whether it's bright or sunny or not, and all of that good stuff. So again, primarily these are the streets in the area. 2 lanes, bicycle lanes over here. Normal day we'd also have lots of tech shuttles. You have some very stunningly beautiful homes. You have homes that have been filled in, like on our right here, and then you have big multi-unit buildings as well. In front of us, actually, to the left of us, you'll see the big building. That's V20. It's a new construction building that was built over the past couple years. It was sold by Ron & Co. before, and the finishes were really nice. Very, very, very pretty, very nice, high-end. They were townhomes, 3-bed, 3-baths, 3 levels, I think, and they were in the 2 to 2.4 range. I can't quite remember if that was right. And then the 2-bedroom, 2-bath started in the 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 range too. And they sold a lot of those, but I think some of them were kept back for rental by the developer, so they might come on the market later too. So we're over here on 21st Street, and this might ring a bell to you. Why are we going to 21st Street? This is where our flagship office, the Mission Street office at Vanguard Properties, that's where it's located. The company, as I might have said before, it's been around for, 25, 30 years, and it's co-founded by a Midwesterner, James Rademacher, and he has made his name in development and creating a really brilliant agency that's boutique, locally owned, operated, and it has expanded a great deal. Over there, you'll see we're on Valencia Street, which is extremely busy. It's very tech central, hub central, hipster central. You'll see lots of bike lanes. You'll see lots of a mixture of people and lots of good stuff that's going on. Lots of construction as well. Over here on our left, you'll see Lexington, and you'll see little streets like Bartlett and San Carlos that branch off of the main streets like here. You'll see lots of tiny little neighborhood type of homes, again mixed, where you have income units, you have single family houses, and more likely than not you're going to have 2 or 3 flat or 2 or 3 unit buildings that may or may not be tenancy in common units, which means there's only one title for the whole building, or they may be condominiums, which means each particular unit or each particular floor has its own title and mortgage. And so it matters for rent control, and it matters for the lending as well. So, you can ask us for more questions. Right now we're in the intermission basically. You saw Vanguard earlier. We're circling the block. Again, the architecture is a little less formal. You have more modern homes built in. You have multiple flats. You have some restorations, and then you have some empty lots as well, and a lot of multi-unit buildings. This is Cap Street, which before was a little scary, but now over the past few years it's been redone. And this is 22nd Street, and we're seeing a lot of Mission Street right here, which again, when Vanguard was founded, everyone was pretty much over at the Haight Street office, Haight and Scott, and in 2001, I believe it was, they've listed this old bank, and it didn't sell for a while. And our broker, James, said, "Why don't I buy it?" And he did, and used his connections with the with the builders and the prominent developers in the city, and built a fantastic and beautiful home base, which the neighborhood is now surrounded and grown up by itself. One interesting thing here, you're going to see this very big building. There was a large fire here. It was a 20-odd unit home. To lots of people. There was a market here, lots of businesses, and displacement. That just happened after during the construction of this other very big modern building you see, which is the Vida SF, which was in part designed by Stanley Seidowitz originally, and then eventually finished by another round of developers. You also see the Mission Theater, which is also brand new. The people who founded, I think it was the Austin Brew House or whatnot, started here, and they have done a great job of renovating a very, very old theater and giving it new life as well. Well, I've been prattling long enough. I'm going to park illegally, as you might be observing, and go into Vanguard because I have to grab a couple of things. But this is K.Ho giving you a little tour of part of the Castro and part of Mission Dolores and into the Mission. Basically the route that I take to work, pretty much every day, or when I need to go. So I hope anyway that helps you. KevinandJonathan.com is where we're located at, and of course we're at Vanguard Properties, and this was San Francisco on New Year's Day 2016. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. KevinandJonathan.com.